I said, here's what I need you to do. And there's three things at the end of the ask or about our company. And I put three things. Not one person out of 100 applicants
did all three.
Half of them didn't even do not half, quarter of them didn't even do any of them.
Yeah.
And none of them did all three.
Yeah.
Except for one girl. She didn't do all three, but she hit me up on LinkedIn. She goes, I want to send you my resume. This is what I'm looking for. Here's my dream. And I'm like, holy smokes. Like, this girl's willing to go to my LinkedIn, hit me, or not my LinkedIn, it was actually Instagram, hit me up, say, I want a job. What do I need to do to get it? Like, and she's a badass. And she actually showed, like, so I got on a call with her. She's a freaking rock star, 23 years old. Mm-hmm. And I said, here's the deal. I'll give you 2 weeks for a trial. If you do good, we'll extend the contract and we'll go from there. And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
Rock star. Like, she's freaking, I mean, she's done 1 day and she's produced some content. Freaking amazing. Exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah, the people that go out of their way are the ones that are usually the right fits. You know, it's funny, you talk about extending the contract. That's something I'll do as well. So once I find the right applicant, usually going through that whole process, you'll narrow 50 candidates down to 2 or 3. And so then I'll give them a paid test at the end, because I don't want people frustrated if they don't work out and then having an opportunity for them to badmouth anything. And so I want to make sure to compensate their time, even if they don't work out. So I'll say, all right, here's the thing, here's the project, very clear scope of work. Here's what I'm willing to pay for it. Are you interested? Yes, no. And if they're interested, we do that thing. And then that's usually where you can see exactly. And the people that you extend that offer to are the people that pass the gut check first. Like, so you have to make sure you're spending the time and money on somebody that's even worth spending the time and money on. So then that's kind of, you've gone through the whole process, they've read everything, they follow directions, you feel good about them. Then they can kind of give the final, proof of concept where, okay, yes, I can actually do the thing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The one thing that I've learned is, and I think this is why you and I are in our positions, is because we are the dreamers that have built our thing. At least for me, I have. Mm-hmm. And I find that I see what I want. I understand what I want. I've done every single piece of the business conceptually.
Yeah.
So I can say, this is what works conceptually, or like what I'm looking at. Definitely with the video and photography and website building, like I know the message I need and I know the content. So the one thing I've done is put the right people that can manage into the right positions. Mm-hmm. And then I'll spend time with them if I need it. But if they don't work, I can't have them as a manager.
Yeah.
It's interesting because somebody can be good at the job, but they can only do, but they can't manage other people, but they want the position, but they can't do the job.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd way rather spend the time front loading the effort to find the right person than to I don't want to find the cheapest person. I don't want to find the quickest person. I would way rather spend more time finding the right person just once, because like I said, I've never had an employee quit, and I can't quantify the amount of time that's probably saved me from having to replace the wrong person multiple times over.
So I've had to let a few people go, but I had one take an opportunity that was huge, and I completely supported it.
Yeah.
Besides that, yeah, it's really interesting, huh?
Yeah.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
But I was super happy. Like, it was a huge opportunity. I mean, it made a lot of value. And then I have one other person, part of our team that we already know where he's going. Mm-hmm. And it's a huge opportunity for him, but it's also an added huge value for our company because it intersects. So it's a win-win. So yeah, I mean, I love the win-wins too. If somebody wants to go, I think Gary Vee said something once, like, if you want to go work for somebody else because you want to make a few extra bucks, then, go work for them. I'll give you an endorsement, but don't come back when you don't
like the environment,
don't like the other people. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm the same way at the end of the day. Like, I'll take care of you. I mean, our employment lawyer, I just hired an employment lawyer today to go through our contracts and to do a bunch of stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm like, here's the number one thing, because he sues corporations. And one of my other lawyers said, go get an employment lawyer, because you want the guy that sues corporations to be able to represent you, because he's the one that knows how to get through the whole loopholes.
Yeah.
And I go, here's the number one thing for me. I go, I want to take care of my staff. at the end of the day, if they do their job, I'm going to follow through with my word. But I want a contract that's very clean and precise that protects me. It protects them too. But at the end of the day, it's clear. Like there's a lot of clarity there on what their responsibilities are and what mine are. So we can both take accountability for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Taking a step back, I agree with supporting their team members on the win-win. I've had my videographer recently, I can't remember what we were talking about, but he was talking about his long-term dreams. Cause I was saying, hey, we need to, here's where I want to start to take the personal branding, the Damon Burton thing, all the content that we repurpose. And he, when I told him we're going to hire an additional person, at first he misunderstood that. Like, I think he thought he was training his replacement. And I was like, no. Like, I value you and you are moving on to the bigger and better thing with me. And I want you to help train somebody to take over the other things that you're currently doing. And so as that conversation evolved, I said, look, I hope that I can provide for all the things that you want to accomplish. But if there's something else that comes along the way that's outside of the scope of what you do with me, like, I want you to be happy and I'll support you to go do that thing. Sure, I don't ever want you to leave, but I want you to be a better person. So I fully support that whole concept of encouraging others. And I think that, people can tell when that's sincere and they're going to stick around longer. Or like in your example, the Gary Vee example, they're going to realize like, hey, that extra dollar isn't worth the more toxic environment. And so it really fosters, it really is a win-win-win, like you said.
I see that you're doing a really cool stuff with SEO National. I'm on the site right now. Can you talk a little bit about, because a lot of people, they have a dream, they put their dream out there, but they don't know how to attract the right, people. And it's interesting to be able to see that. How do you really support people with SEO, build their internet presence, what they're up to, without paying for ads?
First of all, I need to clarify that my website is the worst website to look at. So, which is kind of ironic, being a marketing company and you build websites. Like, if you've heard the story of the shoemaker's son, like everybody in the village has nice shoes except for the shoemaker's son because he's taking care of everybody else. That's totally us. Like, I'm not dying for business. We're not out there like, chasing people down. So clients are the priority, and our website is the redheaded stepchild. So it doesn't look bad.
Here's my thought is it's so basic and simple that it's exactly what you guys want. Like, at the end of the day, there's no funnels. There's no, like, it's straight to the point. You can see the case studies and testimonies. You can see, they can hit you up like that. Isn't that what people want? It's sales.
That is. Yeah, for sure. The more simplistic, the better. And that part is intentional. But as far as like the approach to helping other people, which underscores me not caring so much about our website, is once you provide enough value and you start giving good results to your clients in whatever scope of work that you do, you kind of get welcomed into the inner circle of their friends and their contacts and their business partners. And so you start to attract the type of people that you want to do business with. So by far the majority of our business is referrals. Well, it's two things. One is referrals and two is social proof. So like we touched on earlier about me putting out content on LinkedIn. That's why I just give away the farm. Like, I have no problem telling anybody anything about the business, because you're only going to get a couple types of people that read your content or listen to these podcasts or whatever type of media you're pushing out content on. You're either going to have the people that may not become a client now, but they liked what you had to say and they're going to remember you and they become a client later, or they take all the advice and run, which is awesome because you help somebody and they were never your client anyway, so who cares? Or they become a client right now. So I get on, I do these things. I get on LinkedIn, I get on whatever, I get on our blogs. I give away everything for free. I give away my book for free. So that's how I attract people I want to work with. Is the people that I want to work with are the people that go, holy crap, that's a lot of stuff. I don't want to spend my time doing it. So just take my money, Damon.
So I love that. It's kind of like our branding agency, what we figured out. So we build websites and so my business partner from 10 years ago, she's my best friend, and she's my ex-girlfriend. We're exes, right? Like, interesting. And about 3-4 years ago, she was like, I'm running the nonprofit on ops side of it. She's like, I really love building the marketing branding, so I want to do that full time. So we built a thing called My Life My Brand. And the idea is long term, we're going to have kids in our schools learn how to brand. We're going to teach them how to do their own WordPress sites and, or Wix site if they want, how to do video content, how to edit, how to, like, because video is huge. And so a lot of people, she loves it. And so I said, here's the deal. Like, at the end of the day, we don't need to work with anybody we don't. Like, it's just the other people are fillers. And we've worked with a couple of people where we choose not to work with them again.
Yeah.
And I want to work with people that I enjoy working with. And nothing is worse than somebody that is a pain in the ass.
Totally agree. And so some of the newer entrepreneurs, like, I get that it sucks to think about turning down a paycheck, but it's a short-term loss for long-term win. The more of those short-term paychecks you take, the more it sucks your soul away, and the more that it takes away from maybe the opportunity to work on something that turns into a better project later. I totally get that it's hard to say no, but in the long run, it's worth it. And I can give you a couple of tangible examples of why it's so valuable to work with the types of people that you want to work with. One example is when we were working with the retail division of the Utah Jazz. So they have a division called Team Store, which is to sell more hats and jerseys and merchandise. So that came from a relationship, and I'll tell you how that started, and then I'll tell you this other relationship. Like, I could probably take like a cork board and stick maybe half a dozen people's faces on there, and then draw a yarn like a CSI map from there to all the other hundreds of clients that we've worked with over the years. And it's almost all of those, like I said, is, except for social proof, is referrals. So one example is, there's a gentleman who's a good friend of mine. His name's Joe Hansen. He was one of our first clients from 14 years ago, and he's gone on to build and sell 5 businesses in 10 years. So who does he call every time he needs SEO? And in addition to him bringing his own business, in years probably 3 through 6, that one guy referred 25% of my entire business's revenue, just like one guy. And then that guy has since referred another gentleman named Ivan, who I've worked with for 10 years. And then Ivan's referred a whole bunch of other people. And then those people have referred people. And so that's how, a lot of times people come in and they say, well, how do you work with the Utah Jazz? Or we've worked with clients on Shark Tank, or the company that built the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, the world's tallest tower. We work with that real estate company. There is no ad. There's no Facebook ad. There's no paid ad. There's no postcard. There's nothing you could have sent or paid for to get your foot in the door with those types of relationships. They have to come from an authentic relationship. So that's a perfect example of, the delaying their gratification, saying no to the wrong things so you can free up that time for the right things. It's a slower play, but man, it pays off in the long run.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a lot less headache too.
Yeah. Don't you hate... Did you have in your early years, like you take on a client because you wanted the money, and you'd be going to bed and you're just cringing. You're like, I got to talk to that guy tomorrow. Or I just cashed that check, but I don't want to work with this guy.
I had one a couple months ago.
You made the exception.
It was like a friend of a friend, right? But
yeah.
I didn't get to know the person before. And I mean, they just wanted things, like, we were like, here's what we're going to do. And the deal was done. And then, like, next week, we want this, we want this. And we're like, hold on a second. So it's interesting.
You talking, so that scope creep where the scope of work keeps growing. I have no problem putting that.
I'm going to hold on. Let me write this down.
You never heard of scope creep?
No.
That's the thing.
Scope creep. I'm going to send this to Brittany after, and she's going to be like, oh my gosh, she's going to call everybody a scope creep from now on.
No, I put it straight in the contract. We have a subsection with the title is scope creep. And it very clearly says that we have a very specific scope of work. It's not to exceed this. We can do more, but we'll renegotiate the contract. We'll renegotiate the rate once the original scope is completed. I have no problem whatsoever putting it for the reasons we've talked about, just, having a good working environment, fostering good culture, because it trickles down. Like if you're frustrated with a client, then it's going to pass